Hello and welcome to a very special episode of That Peter Crouch podcast, made possible by Courvoisier. Ahead of Father's Day, Courvoisier wanted to honour fathers as well as father figures in our lives, the men who influenced our journeys and shaped us, which is why they booked today's guest for the show, a true father figure of mine, a man who shaped my journey. It's Mr. Harry Redknapp, ladies and gentlemen.
Peter, good to see you.
Good to see you. Right, before we start, Harry, I'm going to make you one of these.
Right.
Courvoisier, do you want it with ginger ale?
Whatever, I don't know. What's the best?
Do you want it straight up? I'm going to go straight up personally.
I'll go straight up then, yeah. Sounds good, Pete.
Whoa, yeah, here we go.
Cheers, Peter.
There you are, Harry. Cheers to the father figures that shaped us.
Good to see you. Well done,
Cheers,
Pete.
mate. Oh,
that's good.
lovely that. How have you been then, Harry?
Yeah,
Right.
good, Pete. All good. Yeah, we have been busy, always somewhere doing something, you know?
Yeah. What's a lot of golf, I hear?
A lot of golf. I play with one of your old managers, Tony Pulis.
Yeah.
And, he's, you know what Tony's like. He likes to win, doesn't he, obviously, and we play off levels. He's really about 3 shots better than me.
You know, this whole, obviously, premise of this now with Courvoisier is, you know, father figures. I have to say, those two people on the golf course there, huge influence yourself and Tony as well was absolutely brilliant with me when I was at Stoke as well.
Tony, good lad, good character, isn't he? And he was my assistant. I signed him as a player, Pete.
I know you did down at Bournemouth.
I went down to watch him play at Newport one night, and he played against us when he was at Newport earlier in the season, and then I'd heard that they might release him, so I went down to watch him play, and when I got there, he wasn't playing. He was dropped. So I went in a little place they had there to have a cup of tea before the game, and I'm ready to watch him play, and the team sheet comes. Next thing, he's sitting next to me. So I tapped him up and ended up signing him on a free transfer. He done a great job for me.
Done a good job. I like to think, hopefully I did a good job for you, Harry. Do you remember the first time maybe you saw me play or we met?
Yeah, first time I saw you, Pete, was at Chapel Heath.
Yeah, that's right.
Playing for Tottenham.
Spurs v West Ham.
Yes,
I remember you watching.
I was manager of West Ham, and you came and you played for Tottenham. And I'm not saying, I thought you had good ability. Obviously, you were different. You were tall.
I was a long way off it then, Harry. I was a long way off it.
But your touch and everything was great, and it was. So I followed you really, and then obviously. When you finally came to Portsmouth, that was a story in itself, really.
Yeah.
Because Graham Ricks was very keen. Graham was very keen on getting you.
Yeah.
I was director of football then, Pete, And so Milan Mandrick, he said, look, he wants to sign. I said, well, I think he'd be a great signing for us. Graham wants him. I think he'd be brilliant. And Milan Mandrick said to me, if you think I pay £1 million for a basketball player, you're crazy.
I remember
I said, he's not a basketball player, he's a good player, good footballer. He said, okay, he's on your head. At the end of the year, we sold you to Aston Villa after one season, and then Milan said, I always told you he was a good player, Harry. So that was about it, wasn't it?
That was it. I mean, listen, that was a good time. I remember I had a season at QPR, I ended up going to Portsmouth with you, Graham and Milan. Loved every moment of it as well, but then everyone thinks that you sign me all the time, but I remember, you sold me then, and I think probably sold me, was it Southampton as well?
Yeah, but when you went,
different circumstances.
when you went, I mean, they came in Villa, and obviously they paid a lot of money for you at that time, Pete, wasn't it? Graham Taylor,
That was right, yeah.
Yeah, bless him. He was the manager, and he was an office. That was, but it was obviously from Portsmouth's point of view, it was a fantastic deal, wasn't it? One season, making fantastic money for you. So
yeah. No, it was good. It was good. I remember going to Aston Villa, and then I struggled really. I remember I think I was doing flying in the Championship, but kind of struggled in the Premier League. I don't know if I was ready for it, physically. I remember my debut was against Newcastle. I remember Alan Shearer was up one end of the pitch and I was up the other, and I thought, if that's what I wanted to be, I'm a million miles away from this.
Yeah.
And then I had to go kind of to Southampton, and we had 2 manager changes before you come in, and we were struggling near the bottom of the league. Obviously, you come in to try and save us, and I remember I wasn't even playing, and you came in and kind of give me the confidence for there's why aren't you playing? You and Kevin Phillips would be my front two for the rest of the season, and then things just took off.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing season, though, Pete, wasn't it? How we ever went down, We played so well that year.
Yeah.
You know, you look back at and we had all the top teams to play at home. You know, I think they'd played all the bottom half. It was incredible, really. We end up, I think we beat Liverpool at home, drew with Arsenal with 10 men when David Prutton got sent off. And Everton at home, when we were beating Everton. Remember?
That was me, that one.
Oh, no, you had the ball down the corner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's the one that haunts me, really does.
And me. They would have stayed up that year.
I know.
I'm blaming you.
I know,
now,
it was
Pete.
my fault. I remember I beat 2 players, got excited, thought I could shoot from 30 yards. Never scored a goal from 30 yards in my life. And I always remember, you know, the ball was in, I think it might have been Nigel Martin's hands. He booted it forward and Marcus Bent ended up going through. And I thought, please don't score. It was in the last minute. Scored. Oh. And I always remember Jamie, who you'd signed, Jamie Redknapp, just turned around and looked at me and started giving me absolute pelters. And I thought, I'm going to go in and get loads from you. And to be fair to you, you kind of, you knew that I'd made a mistake. Yeah. But I think Jamie was more aggressive than you were, really.
Oh, no, we was that. Well, that was amazing. But then we had some great performances that year. And as I say, how we end up going down was amazing, you know.
Yeah, it was a good team as well. You look at the players, like, you know, with Jamie
played some good
really
stuff.
well.
And then we ended up having to beat, obviously, you got sent off at Palace.
Yeah.
And then we had to, so that was our big chance of beating Man United, really, was with you up front, you know, and playing the way we'd played, getting it up to you and, you know, getting Kevin or whoever around you. But then you were suspended for that game. And Alex, they needed, Portsmouth had to go to West Brom and win. And now, can you imagine, Portsmouth weren't going to try to keep us up, weren't they, Southampton? I mean, the other one, Pete, was the day we played, I'd only just gone then, we drew Southampton in the Cup.
I remember it, man.
So I'll be honest, I'm on the touchline with 25 minutes to go, and I didn't care who scored, all right? Because I don't want to go back to Fratton Park. I'm scared, right? I do not want to go back to Fratton Park. Somebody score a goal. I don't care if it's them, us. Please don't make me go back to Fratton Park, you know? And then we got the penalty.
Oh, my God. Penalty was the last minute.
Last minute. And you're looking at me. I'm going, no, not,
do you remember?
Not Crouchy. I didn't see you as a penalty taker, Pete. I'm going, no, not Crouchy.
I looked over, right, full of confidence, got the ball in my arm. Yeah. And I look over at Harry and I'm just saying, no.
And then you put it down and slotted it home. And I thought, oh, thank God I ain't got to go back to Fratton Park.
But I was thinking it was with myself, you know, Nigel Courvoisier, yourself. Yeah. There was a few of us that didn't, you know, wouldn't have relished Fratton Park probably at that time. But, you know, we managed to get through it.
We did.
But I have to say, like, from a personal point of view, that season, you know, back end of the season, from the minute you came in, I think I scored 16 goals after Christmas from when you came in. So I was flying. And then you and Jamie started talking about me potentially being able to play for England. And I was like, as a few people probably were, be like, you know, no, there's no way. Even myself was thinking, you know, I don't think I'm ready for that. But I remember you and Jamie championing me to do it, and then ended up, you know, I did get in at the end of that season, and I stayed in there for 5 years after that.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
Yeah, no,
I scored lots of goals.
Yeah, no, I do think without you and Jamie, no, I'm not sure I'd have got there. Really.
Yeah, I think you would have, you know, but. I think it's like everything, though, isn't it? It's like, you know, you look back, you have to have someone believe in you. You know, when someone believes in you, it's so important, isn't it? Even Bobby Moore, I mean, Bobby was my best pal, and, you know, he swore that without Malcolm Allison, who was a senior captain of West Ham, but had struggled with illness and was now coaching the kids Tuesday and Thursday nights, and he saw something in Bobby that nobody else saw, and he believed in him. And Bobby said, without Malcolm, Harry, I would never have been a player. Never in a million years would I've got. He wouldn't have even got signed on. There was one place left on the ground staff, and some other kid was going to get signed, and Malcolm Allison said to the coaching staff, no, you take him, Bobby Moore, I'm telling you. And they went, he can't run, Malcolm, he can't, you know, he's not. So I'm telling you, he'll be a player. You take him. And they took him, and so you need someone to believe in you. It's fantastic. And it makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it does. It does totally. And you know, it's needed. And I think, obviously, we get a bit of stick from, you know, get the band back together, myself, Defoe, Crouchy, you know, players that you know so well. Yeah. But, like, you probably would give them the confidence as well, because I know how good they are in training. Like, Crouchy, for me, was one of the best footballers I've played with.
Fantastic footballer,
Jermaine Defoe, we know how good he is as well.
Yeah.
But I suppose you would instill the confidence in them that you do with me as well.
Yeah, but I think knowing people as well, when you work with people, Pete, you know, and you've been around, you know them, you know their character, you know they're good lads. So when you go to another club, you think, yeah, I love it. I'll take him with me because, you know, I know what he's like. I know he's a good player and he's a good person and he's, you know, everything about him you like. So you take him. I mean, you've got to be a bad judge of a person or a player if you go to another club when you've managed someone or somewhere else and then, you know. But no, I'd never had any doubts when I came in for you at any time that, you know, you were going to do well. So
I think the Portsmouth journey was amazing, wasn't it? You know, when I genuinely thought we were on the verge of something, obviously winning the FA Cup, and then, you know, the team we had was unbelievable. I look at that midfield with Diarra and Montara and Crouchy, you know, myself and Jermaine up front, you know, Saka, Canio, some team we had.
Sol. Good players, Sol Campbell, Sylvain Distin, you know, as you say, Glenn Johnson at right back. I mean, it was some group of players, wasn't it? Crazy, you know?
Yeah, unbelievable.
But good days. They were great days for me at Portsmouth. I really did love my time there, Pete. You know, it was... And the lads, you know, the training ground wasn't great and it was... But no, everyone just sort of got on with it, didn't they? And, you know, we just, you know... Yeah, it was a brilliant place to be.
And then obviously we worked together at Spurs and I have to say, I mean, that was a joy. I was very close to signing for Sunderland under Steve Bruce. I don't know if you remember. And Bruce, I ended up, you know, as soon as Tottenham came in and you came in, I knew that was where I wanted to be. And I remember you just kind of came in under Ramos and they were struggling, right? Spurs ended up kind of top half, no danger whatsoever. And then the next season we just kicked on, didn't we? And you know, look round the side we had. It was unbelievable.
People say to me, "What's your two greatest great as ever anywhere?" Was going to Man City that night and winning, Pete. We had to win. A draw was no good because they had better goal difference. And you scored that night and scored that goal. That was fantastic to go into the Champions League for the first time. And then obviously going to Milan was an amazing night, wasn't it?
Two unbelievable nights.
Two unbelievable nights for me, you know, to be a manager and for you to come up with the goals. That was fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh, God, honestly, like I think like some of the probably the happiest memories. Definitely, as an away goal goes, I think that was the highlight of my career, really, just because the importance of it and the
massive,
game and how tight it was.
Yeah.
And obviously that journey in the Champions League was amazing.
It was, great times, wasn't it? I remember the first game, Pete, you know, young boys of Burn away.
Yeah, we
Clive Allen went to watch him play because the draw was made and we were playing on the Saturdays. I'd never had a chance to see him. So Clive went over, came back. I said, "What do you reckon?" He said, "Nah, they're useless." He said, "No, we'll murder them. You know, they're useless." I was like, "Really?" Yeah. And we got there and they had that horrible AstroTurf pitch. It was shocking, wasn't it? And suddenly we went 3-0 down in about 20 minutes. I went back to Clive. I can't tell you what I said to Clive Allen. I went back to the dugout. I said, "I thought you said they was..." Anyway, we managed to scrape our way out of it, didn't we? We got a goal back just for
a couple of goals back.
Ended up 3-2.
Yeah. Pav and Basson, I think it was.
Beat them at home, No, good, great.
The home game was amazing. The atmosphere, and that's when I knew that we were going to go on a journey. Like everything, it felt like a different White Hart Lane, didn't it?
Yeah,
it was a real buzz.
As you say, it was European nights at White Hart Lane were just incredible, weren't they?
Yeah, so special.
Yeah.
And obviously, the journey was amazing. I remember the whole Champions League journey, but then obviously, you know, I ended up having a bit of against Real Madrid. I think I just got too excited. Ended up getting sent off.
Yeah, but I think Ramos was a bit
played me there.
Yeah, he was a bit clever, wasn't he? I suppose it was. But that's how it goes. But it was great to go there, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, and absolutely amazing. But I think I'd never played in the Bernabeu before, and I think I just got a little bit like I've never made 2 tackles in my life. So why I've made those 2, I've no idea. But it would have been difficult anyway. But I would have liked to have seen us 11v11 over 2 legs.
Yeah, over 2 legs. Yeah, and we hung on in there for quite a while, didn't we? And then but no, that was a great adventure, wasn't it? Great time.
No, it really
loved it. Loved every minute of it.
Yeah, what was it, Harry? I mean, you signed me 3 times in my career. At various different points in my career, really, right at the start, right at the kind of midway point, really, and then towards the end. What was it?
I just thought you were a good player, Pete. You know, simple as that, really. I knew that you could lead the line, score goals for us. You know, not because you're sitting there. I just knew you were a great lad and everything else as well. You know, good professional. It was a no-brainer. You know, he was. Yeah, and same as you, and another Jermaine Defoe was another one, wasn't he? As we said earlier, and good players and good people. So you can't go wrong, can you?
What do you think was the key to your success, Harry? Like in your management, obviously, I always felt like I looked at players, like Wilson Palacios or Luca, players that I felt that probably played their best football. I always played my best football under you. I feel like it was just the confidence and maybe simplifying their game. Certainly with Wilson, I played with Wilson at Stoke.
Yeah.
He was a completely different player to the player he was at Tottenham. And there was a few injuries, but I felt like I always remember you saying to him, like, go win it back, because that's what he was brilliant at. And I just want you to give it to Luka Modrić, and we'll play from there. And I felt like you simplified his game.
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Yeah, and I think, with you, Pete, I'd always, in the main, want you just pull on the diagonal, drop it up, not necessarily up to you, drop balls up to you that you can hold up, bring people into play, and then, play from there. And I wanted our team to play like that a lot, and I think that relationship we had with Rafa van der Vaart was incredible. Rafa's goals, the amount of goals he would read off of you, wouldn't he? And come and you drop balls down to him and he'd get on this and suddenly, bang, it was in the back of the net. So, no, I just think, your game was good, everything about it. I just enjoyed working with you and your football and your all-round ability. People, you're not the strongest header of the ball in the world, are you? You're not going to get up and head balls from 18 yards into the back of the net or something crazy, but just your general play, your all-round play was what I liked,
I remember sitting on the sideline. I think I was injured for one training session. I remember standing with you, and I remember we were just enjoying what we had there. When we see Gareth Bale, Van der Vaart, Luka Modrić, Tom Hiddleston, Robbie Keane, we're watching Ledley King, some of the talent.
Aaron Lennon going quick
past,
and pace and
frightening, really. At times, you look at some of that. I remember standing on the sideline and thinking, like,
I know,
because usually I'm in it and I'm just worried about my game, but being able to stand there with you and trying to take stock of what we had.
I was like that, Pete. At the train, the way the lads could ping the ball about and move the ball was just fantastic. I used to love it. It was great for me. So, they were great days. So, when you look back, there were so many places along the way that I really enjoyed being. So.
Yeah, who was the best, Harry, other than me, obviously? Who would be the best that you've worked with, like, in personality and as a player?
Yeah, well, the boys at West Ham, they were young when I had them, Frank, Rio, they were young, they were all kids then, so I didn't really... But then I suppose, Gareth Bale was amazing, Luka Modrić was amazing, wasn't he? They were two incredible players that we had. Lassana Diarra was an amazing player, wasn't he?
Yeah, unbelievable talent.
Unbelievable talent. So Paolo Di Canio was an unbelievable player. What a talent. I watched a thing the other day, Pete, where it was like Premier League icons. It showed you Paolo's goals. I mean, I forgot some of the goals that he'd scored, obviously, from me at West Ham over the years. And they were amazing goals.
Unbelievable, yeah. I remember the one that gets talked about is the volley at Upton Park. But I remember one, I think it was it one at Stamford Bridge where he popped it up and hit it with his left?
Yeah.
That was an unbelievable goal. I was at that game. Yeah. I remember watching it live thinking, oh my God.
Yeah, no, he's just the repertoire of goals that he scored were crazy, And he was an amazing character.
Difficult to manage or a dream?
I loved
Difficult.
Oh no, difficult. Difficult. Oh, Paolo, but I loved him. He was so good. But he was a one-off, He'd come in one day and he'd be in a good mood. He'd be singing Volare and have his sunglasses on. And he was the smartest guy you'd ever seen, But you never knew where you're going with him. But what a player! And I loved him as a person as well. He was.
Is he one of those players, like I'd say, like Cantona? I think Alex Ferguson said, you almost have to treat him differently to everyone else.
Absolutely.
Give him a bit more love.
Absolutely. If you're going to come in and start shouting at Paolo, then forget it. Ain't it's all going to kick off, it'd be murders. Yeah. But no, he was, but he was a great trainer, Pete. He was in such great condition. He looked after himself, He'd come in Sunday morning, do 2 or 3 hours with his fitness coach, just personal trainer. He lived right, looked after himself, and he was amazing talent.
Yeah, I remember, obviously, when I was playing for you, I remember you kind of saying, there's no point in me being there if we don't play to my strengths. Because quite often I think at Spurs, we had so many good footballers.
Yeah.
We were past it. It was very slow and methodical at times. I remember when you came in, it was like, if I'm playing, if we're going to do that, I might as well play Robbie Keane and Defoe.
Of course, yeah.
You know, there's a time to get it out wide. There is a time to put it in the box. There is a time to drop it into me and kind of play from there. And I think that's why because you got the best out of me is because you were, you know, always playing to my strengths.
Yeah. I mean, that's, as you say, what's the point? And you can hold the ball. I see football now, Pete. I watch so many games and I think, well, you know, I watch Tottenham now and, you know, I think, why they mess around, you know, get up to, you know, to Solanke and hold, you know, he can hold the ball in, you know, and then get it down, then go and join him and now play your football in their half of the pitch, in their final third. Why keep messing about back here, you know, it's crazy, isn't it?
What is that risk and reward thing? Like how do you see it? Like, you know, when you're consistently playing out and the other team know you're going to do it, so they're setting traps and ready to...
Yeah, I see plenty of risk and I don't see much reward. Yeah. I never see them play, when they ever play through and go and end up with a shot or goal, never do they? Yeah. You know, so, no, I think it's gone crazy. I mean, everybody now I think Pep came in and did that with players that could do it. And everybody else want to be Pep Guardiola, don't they? All the managers and that now, unfortunately, and it's not. A lot of them is 90% of them. The teams are not capable. I see lower division football where I see teams I watch every game I see goals being given away through people trying to play out in the back and pass it to the centre halves who really, in all honesty, back in my day, I'd have said, you're in the team because you're good in the air, so head it and kick it. You're not, you know, we don't want you getting on the ball. And you're not Franz Beckenbauer, Bobby Moore. You know, do what you're good at. And that was, I think that's what it's about, Pete, getting people to do what your strengths are, you know.
Yeah, I think that was what was so kind of special about your management. It was not... You know, why are you're not going to put centre halves on the ball? You know, you just simplify their game. You're there to defend. Get players who are comfortable on the ball. Players who are good, like Wilson Palacios was at winning the ball back.
Yeah,
you know,
give it to Luke. Give
it to someone who can play.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, it was like the great. You know, I think who was it? Deschamps. They called him the Hud carrier, didn't they, or whatever? You know,
the water carrier.
The water carrier. You know. Because other people around them fantastic foot, you know, he'd win it and give it to you play. I can win the ball, you go and play. Now you go and win the game, do your stuff, you know. So, but he's recognising that, isn't it? Surely as a football person, that's what you have to do.
How do you think things have changed, Harry? You know, like kind of over the years from when you first came in at Bournemouth and to managing now. Would you enjoy managing now, or would you preferred it kind of how when you managed?
I preferred it back in the day, Pete. You know, because you were the manager of the football club and you run the football club. You chose the players. You know, it was your. If the players were no good, it was your. You know, you got the blame. If they were great, Now the managers really have very little say in who comes in. They're all chosen by heads of recruitment. And so you're in their hands. If they're bad judges and they're bringing you bad players, I listened to a program the other day there, and there was a chief executive talking. He was at Southampton back in a few years ago, and he was saying that the manager there was 6 people on the committee, and the manager had 1/6 of a vote. And
on who he brings in,
on who they bring in, and they said, would he have the final say? They said, oh no. He said, no, of course he didn't. No, he was just one of. So you're relying on 5 people who probably never played football to be the judges of who you bring in, and if their judgment is wrong and they're bringing you players, what you're supposed to it must be a nightmare to think. I don't. As soon as they walk in the door, you think, I don't fancy him. He's not for me. What you're supposed to do, it's horrendous, isn't it? Whereas, you know, you see someone, you'd think, I like him, I go and you watch someone play, I like him, and then it's down to you, you know, it's your judgment, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose, like, it's your head on the chopping block, isn't it? You know, if you bring in a player that you don't really... And then it's very difficult for them to come out and say it, and I suppose then you just look wrong, kind of blaming other people as if, passing the buck. When
it don't work, who gets the sack? The manager, not the people who bring the players. They're sort of the other 5 of them, or whatever it might be, they're still there, and the manager, he cops the blame, doesn't he? The crowd don't shout, sack whoever it is, they should sack the manager, you know? Yeah. So it's very different now. And I think youth football's changed, Pete, all the way through football clubs. I think one of the worst things that happened was going to academies, because now the players, the kids don't train where the first team train. They train somewhere else in most cases. So they don't see the first team. The first team don't know the kids. The manager don't know the kids. He's not seeing them. They're in another part of wherever they are. And he don't get to see them. Whereas back in the day, you all trained together. When you first went to Tottenham, you probably was all at...
Always around them, yeah.
All around the first team.
You play with them at times.
Of course you did, yeah. And, I was at West Ham and we're having a game. I said, OK, Tony Carr said, Tony, send me 3 kids. I need a centre-half, midfield player, and a winger, whatever. And he'd send 3 of the kids and they'd come and train with the first team. And so you knew them kids, you saw them, and those kids, and then you'd all have dinner together. You could sit next to the first team players, and they knew you knew them. So when you did come through and you were ready to play, it wasn't like a big shock. You come from another building into the first team building, and I think that's been a big problem. And managers now, I honestly don't think they go and watch youth teams play, Pete. They're not. I go and watch Bournemouth youth team and that, the manager, they come there, they know that it's a short term, they're only as good as the first team is the key. If the first team's not, they don't, whereas back in the day it was, you'd go and watch the youth teams. I used to go every Saturday morning, every Saturday when we played at home, I got a Chapel Leaf, watch the kids play, leave there 15 minutes in the second half, shoot back to Upton Park for the first team game, but never missed a youth game.
I remember playing, I think every time I played at Chapel Heath, I think I saw you on the sideline watching.
Yeah, I'd always watch Pete. We had that. I grew up under Ron Greenwood was a manager when I was a player, and he went to every youth game, never missed a game. The kids were part of. That was how it was. That was now, unfortunately, as I say, I don't think too many managers now go and watch youth teams.
To be fair to Arsene Wenger, I always remember seeing him on the side. Whenever we played Arsenal, he was watching, which is
and Alex
great to him.
I'd go to Old Trafford, and Alex would say to me, Harry, we've got a fantastic 11-year-old kid here, and he knew all the kids, like I did.
Yeah, brilliant.
But so I don't think that happens.
Yeah, that's moved on. What would it have been like at West Ham? So say you wanted to sign a player, how would the process work?
Well, I'd go and see the chairman and, say, look, we need chairman. I think we need to get a centre. I remember wanting to sign to Canio, and the chairman said, yeah, we need somebody, Harry. Yeah, we need somebody up to play up front or around the front. He said, yeah, we definitely need someone. And I said to him, yeah, I want to take Paolo Di Canio. And he put his head in his hands and he said, please, Harry, anyone but him, he said to me, because he'd pushed the referee over, hadn't he? Been suspended.
And then
he came back he was just, getting over finishing his suspension. And it was a gamble, but so that was how it worked. It's just you and the chairman, straight. The chairman would, you talk to him. And you do it,
Yeah. And obviously talking about, there's some great managers obviously in the Premier League at the moment, but you must know more than anyone, obviously, the job that Ariola's done at Bournemouth, right? Like, an unbelievable job,
Fantastic.
Right? Just touching on those, obviously, with Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes going to Liverpool. Obviously, they were part of your staff, right? Obviously, I played with Hughesy.
Yes.
And Michael Edwards was obviously the analyst, and now they've gone on to Liverpool.
I brought Michael in, when he was a kid, gave him his first real job and he came in, didn't he? Did all the analyst stuff for us, the Pro Zone, and then he put some funny video. Had a funny video one day. I remember he put on him taking the mickey out of me, and he was a good lad. Michael. West Ham's had a poor year, Pete.
Yeah. What do you make of West Ham?
Without the 3 teams at the bottom who came up going down, West Ham are 4th from bottom. I mean, it's been a disastrous season, I think, for West Ham. They need. Their recruitment needs to improve next year for sure to give Graham Potter a chance to succeed. So it'd be interesting next year. Man City have surely got to come back and mount a challenge next year. You'd have thought to Liverpool, Arsenal again. I think if they make another 1 or 2 signings, they've got to be there, Pete. So it's going to be another interesting year. I still think Chelsea are a little bit away from challenging for a title. I wouldn't see them. Villa are improving, but still not. I don't see them challenging. I think the winners next year will probably Newcastle on the up.
Look good, yeah.
If they can keep the centre forward, that's going to be key. So they'll be up there again. It'll be interesting. Yeah.
Do you agree with the kind of premise that the teams coming up now is too big a gap for them to stay up. Obviously, the 3 that came up last year have gone down. We know we've got Leeds and Burnley.
Yeah.
In the
I
hunt.
think Leeds have got a chance, Pete. You know Leeds. It's always a difficult place to go, isn't it? That the fans and the support they get, they're very, it's the atmosphere that they create there. I think Leeds would have a real chance. I think next year they could break the trend a bit. I
also think as well, like Burnley, I think it starts defensively. Our defensive record was amazing, this season. And I think they've got an opportunity just if they can get enough goals. I mean, obviously they've managed to keep out a lot of teams this season.
Yeah. Burnley, it'd be nice to see 1 or 2 of them come in, but then you're looking and think, well, who's going to go down?
That's what I'm thinking. Looking at it, it's difficult, isn't it?
It's hard. Brentford have established themselves as a very good Premier League team now. Very good. Bournemouth again. They're suddenly looking at being a top half team on a regular basis. So you start to look round who could go down, and it's not easy to find them, is it? Unless the teams that come up again.
Would you, on a personal level, Harry? Would you get back involved in football if someone asked you? Or?
No, I think now. No, I've had my time, Pete. I loved it. I had some great times, obviously, but. No, it's difficult now. I'm busy all the time doing different stuff and playing a bit of golf, and I enjoy my golf.
Do you know what, Harry? We need a game of golf. That's
definitely.
You're welcome to come to mine sometime. We'll have a game. Definitely. Tony as well. That'd be brilliant.
I'll get Tony. Yeah, because there's a nice golf course down where we play, but me and Tony has come up to your place.
Either way, I'd love to come down.
I'll bring him up for the day.
Yeah, all right.
And he'd love that. He speaks so highly of you, Pete, as well. So. But they were good days at Stoke for you, weren't they?
Great days, honestly.
That was a tough place to go, wasn't it?
Oh, I mean, honestly, we had a real good blend of some quality in there as well, but we were tough to beat, very tough to beat.
Very tough to beat. Oh my God, it was. And Rory Delap throwing the ball in was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
His boy looks a good player.
He's a really good player.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, looks very good. What do you reckon if I bring a Courvoisier down? Is he Tony? Is he going to enjoy that?
Tony, he can. Yeah, we'll bring him up. Yeah, watch his handicap, Pete. I have to be honest, he's a bit of a bandit. But,
all right.
He likes to win. He don't like to part with 3 golf balls.
I'll bring one of them up. We can play
bring
for
one
that.
up, yeah.
Harry, I've got a gift before you go. It's Peter. A limited edition Courvoisier box created very specially for Father's Day. Appreciate all you do
Pete.
and all you have done for me.
Thank you. Nice.
More than Jamie's ever done for you.
Absolutely.
So I, obviously one up on him.
Okay, mate.
Harry, cheers, mate. Thanks for coming
Peter.
in. Great to see you again.
Great to see you.
Top man.
Love you.
Cheers. So thanks to Harry and Courvoisier for today's episode. And before we go, remember, Courvoisier is the perfect gift for this Father's Day, whether it's your dad or father figure in your life, known for its distinctive floral notes. It's a beautiful drink to enjoy on its own, but also works perfectly in cocktails like an espresso martini or a sour. This Father's Day, Courvoisier has created 3 thoughtfully designed gift boxes, each with a unique message, so you can choose the one that best reflects what you want to say. Available in all supermarkets and on Amazon from the 20th of May. Courvoisier, the perfect gift to your father figure this Father's Day.